If you were to imagine a dream job in Maine, it might go about like this. You'd work in Acadia National Park, spend most of your time not in an office or the visitor center or an overcrowded parking lot, but out on the trails, walking miles a day without a boss hovering over you, working only in the summer and fall.
Let's see, maybe there. All right.
Although it sounds way too good to be true, that is an accurate, although incomplete description of a day on the job for what are known as Acadia's Summit Stewards.
But you all did exactly what we want to see people doing. You didn't, step onto the blueberries or anything else.
There were 8 Summit Stewards working in the park this year. They're paid by the nonprofit Friends of Acadia, not the Park Service, although they coordinate much of their work with the Park Service. The Summit Stewards spend their days hiking through the park. Their job, to improve the visitor experience, and especially to educate visitors so they leave the park better than they found it.
Every day is so wonderful out here. Look at where we're at. It's hard to have a bad day.
Just reading about the job before they were hired was enough to captivate some of the stewards.
I was like, this is perfect, basically. You get to talk to people about things that you care about, like nature and leave no trace, and the culture and history of the park, and hike. You get paid to hike around, which is really amazing.
It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet, it's not quite heaven on earth.
Sometimes, talking to that high volume of visitors, it does just become exhausting. But for the most part, it's a pretty good job.
What else does the job of a Summit Steward entail? Well, Acadia has distinctive man-made piles of stones marking its trails. One of the things the Summit Stewards do is educate visitors numerous times a day about how important it is to leave those stones untouched.
So we're having that conversation of, this isn't a decorative stone marking, this is actually our trail marker. It's keeping you safe. It's keeping the, rare plants we have up on Cadillac Mountain safe. You're not stepping on them if you're sticking to the trail.
That's another key part of the job, informing visitors about the importance of staying on trails.
So any step that you're taking around here is leaving an impact, whether you know it or not. And so trying to be really mindful of walking on what we call our durable surfaces, and sticking to the trail, and all of those things is really important.
It's a mistake to think the job is all about protecting nature. It's really about dealing with people.
I mean, we have these counters that we use to keep track of our visitor interactions and leave no trace contacts. And there are days where we get up over 400, and those are real conversations too, not just hey, how are you? Enjoy the weather. So it can be a lot sometimes.
The work is often less than glamorous. On the summit of Cadillac Mountain, the stewards discovered a small pile of trail mix next to a pickup truck in the parking lot. What did they do? They got a broom and swept it up.
Oh, wow.
The people who owned the truck later came along, apologized profusely, and said they intended to clean up the mess.
So I apologize.
There's a big piece under there.
Thank you all for doing that.
A small victory in the unending effort to educate people about how to leave no trace behind.
Everyone has that power to minimize or completely eliminate the impact they take by just simply following Leave No Trace and watching where they step.
The Summit Stewards spend a lot of time at popular trailheads because that's where the people are. They can talk to visitors, give directions, and try to instill good habits before folks head deeper into the park.
Sure, that makes sense.
Sure. You're going to go here.
Questions? Oh yeah, the Summit Stewards get questions. The most common may be, where's the nearest bathroom? But there are 1,000 others.
Sometimes we're up here on Cadillac, it gets really windy, and the number one question when it's like that is, hey, how fast do you think this wind is? So we've got one of these Kestrel wind gauges, so we can answer that question more than just, they'll lick the finger and take a wild guess.
And some of the questions tourists ask have to be heard to be believed.
One of my favorites is sometimes when we're up here on Cadillac, people will come up to me and be like, all right, so how do I get to Acadia National Park? Which is always funny to me because Cadillac is sort of one of the crown jewels of the park. So if you haven't figured it out already, you're here.
What you got, Link?
As the number of visitors grows, so does their impact on the park. Acadia expects a record of more than 4 million visitors in 2021, an increase of about 70% in just the last decade. 4 million visitors, and 8 summit stewards to educate them. The steward's work is never done.